Welcome to The Family Business, a podcast about football and life from the perspective of a coach and his daughter. I'm Stephanie Turner, and I'm here with my dad, Norv Turner. Our guest today is someone we know very well. He's coached at the highest level, worked with elite quarterbacks, and understands what it takes to build an offense and lead people under pressure. He also happens to be my brother. Welcome to the podcast, Scott Turner.
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Great to have you. We get to see you in person here. That's pretty cool.
I know.
Yeah, we've been wanting to have you on for a while. So we're glad that you're on. We got to update you on the car key fiasco. Did you hear? Has Dad told you, I'm sure, today that he couldn't find his car key? Did he tell you?
I didn't hear that. No, I didn't hear about this.
When we landed yesterday, coming back from Vegas, you know, they always put your keys in because it's private, in your cup holder or something.
Right.
And I get in, I start it, and I'm looking all around for my keys. I couldn't see them. And, I mean, we searched the car. Mom searched the car.
He was able to drive home, so they knew that they were in the car somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I got home, I actually turned the car off and turned it back on, so it started. So the guy had left it on the windshield wiper for some reason, and
oh my gosh,
there was a tag there too. So when I was just leaving the place, I turned the windshield wiper on, and the paper flew, and then I heard something. I thought, what the heck was that? But I didn't ever think. So when I pulled in,
because Mom was like, help him look in the car and see if you can find the keys. Because we know they're there. So then he looked, and then in the front, like under that, in that gap where the hood is, you know?
Yeah.
They were shoved in there.
All you could see was a little silver bind.
So the key were just outside of the car the whole time you was driving around?
Yeah, and it still start, which was crazy.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, that problem is solved.
Story ended well.
Good.
I found them.
Yeah. I'm just glad they didn't like slide off when you were driving, and you're just all of a sudden.
It's amazing. If I had
to
turned the windshield wiper on, they probably would have.
Right.
You know, because it went right down that groove.
Right.
He did bring the backup key just in case.
Good. Well, that's good.
But yeah, so Dad was in Vegas watching the games on a little guys trip. We all watched from home. Scott, you're snowed in.
Yes, snowed in here in New Jersey. So we did a lot of plowing the driveway before kickoff, but I made sure I was done. So before 3:00, so I could watch the games.
You could get settled into the chair to watch the games.
I think we have a video that's going to be on this.
We'll cue the video of the
video when we get done. And your frozen beard.
It was cold. It was 14 degrees yesterday. It's warmed up a little bit today, but it was cold.
Well, I'm wearing a turtleneck because it was 48 this morning.
Oh, good.
On the way to school, but now it's like 75. So I'm like regretting my choice. But yeah, let's talk about the games. The Patriot, like that, when that snow started really coming down, it was like, this is crazy. Just slip and slide.
It essentially ended the game. Like no one was really going to score after that, you know, unless someone got really lucky or unlucky, you know what I mean, with a turnover. I thought that, you know, Josh did a really nice job of understanding that because they had the lead, Josh McDaniels, and you know, just being smart. You know, they didn't put the ball at risk. They ran the ball. They ran it on third down. They punted and allowed their defense to play, and knowing that, you know, Denver was going to have a hard time moving the ball against their defense, but obviously in those elements.
Yeah. And you've worked. Well, we watching the games. It's hard because we know we had friends, I think, on every staff of the 4 teams that played, and so it's like you never want to see anyone lose those games, but obviously you're excited for the people who win. You worked with Josh McDaniels when you guys were at the Raiders together, and so that was fun to see. I'm sure to see him.
Yeah, I was really happy for him. Obviously, you know, I was with him that last year, his last year at the Raiders, and it didn't go well, So for him to, he took the year off and to bounce back, and now all the success he's having, because he's such a great coach, and the time I was able to spend with him was great, and really learned a lot. Learned a lot of football. We had some great conversations. So always, we were in the same division this year, so that's a little hard. But with the playoffs and everything, you just always root for him and want him to be successful because he's a really, really good guy, really good person.
Yeah.
Well, what I like about it is there's a mentality that you have to be a certain way. And with some of the guys, older guys, not quite as old as me, but some of these guys, they get hired and they say, well, they're old school. They use two backs. It's boring. They don't spread you out. They don't attack you. And here Josh goes in there, and he's got a second-year quarterback. He runs his offense. They run a power run. They run two backs. They spread you out. They go empty. They have a great mix. So there isn't one way to do it. There isn't, and because you're doing it a certain way, doesn't mean you're not going to be successful. And you look at the teams that are successful, they all have the ability to be balanced, to be complete. They can run the ball, they can spread you out, they can throw the ball, and pretty much dealing, with young quarterbacks. Obviously Denver and New England are not so much the other two, but it's interesting to see what really works and how you can have success doing the things you believe in.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh is a big 21 personnel. He believes in the two-back runs, but he'll, like you said, he'll also spread you out. It's truly a multiple offense. When I got there and learned it, he got everything known to man, and he just does a really nice job of, doing what fits his personnel, but also doing the things that hurts the defense that they're playing. His offense can look pretty different from week to week based on the teams they're playing. He's got a lot of different variables.
And then we obviously the second game, we're in LA, so some sad Rams fans out here, but and obviously we watched the game, and at the end of the game it kicks on to like the local LA news, and people question, some of the sports guys here questioning that, like, there was that call on fourth down and they went for it, and should they have kicked the field goal? And I think, I've learned a lot on doing this podcast. And when I was watching that game, I was thinking of something that Jason Garrett had said, that you have to be watching on an earlier episode of ours. Like you have to make a decision not based on stats or analytics sometimes, but you have to be watching the game, and you have to be watching the flow of the game and trusting like what you think can happen or your guys can do on the field. And I feel like I would have gone for the touchdown at that fourth down call because Matthew Stafford was playing so well. And it was like he was finding his open guys. And when you're watching that flow, there's no guarantee that you're going to get it. And they didn't get the touchdown there. But you also knew that you were going to have to score twice. So, there's a reason for both decisions, right? And I'm just curious, you guys being play callers and having to make that decision, how did you feel about it?
Yeah, I think, they had the ball, what was it, on the 7-yard line, 4th and 4 on the 7 or on the 6, something like that. And I think that plays a lot into it too. And especially with the new kickoff, like if you kick the field goal there, and the Rams are a team that kick touchbacks because they don't have a great special teams unit. So you're going to give them the ball on the 35-yard line. And then, the way that these guys can doctor these balls and the K balls and these kickers, that with their legs now, you're 15 yards away or 20 yards away from them going back up, and you need a touchdown anyways.
Right.
You know what I mean? So whereas if you go for it and you don't get it, and then they get the ball on the 7 or 6 yard line, you got to stop them anyways, either way. And I think what got over, everyone's talking about the fourth down decision, but I think what really came out of that was obviously Seattle did a great job with the defense and stopping them, but then Clint Kubiak and really staying aggressive and saying, hey, we're not just gonna run the ball and punt it back to them. We're gonna keep our foot on the pedal. And we're going to win this game on offense. And they did give it back to the Rams eventually, but at that point there was not. I mean, you made them use all their timeouts, and there wasn't enough time to get it all the way back down the field. So I think part of that, like McVay's, like, hey, we're inside the 10-yard line. It's 4th and 4. We believe in our offense and Matt Stafford. So I think, and then if you don't get it, like, you got to stop them, and you still got a chance to go score a touchdown to win. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that decision. And I think the thing that the kicker's ability, how far these guys can make kicks from nowadays, number one, and the field position starting point with the new kickoff, those are two big factors that I don't think people really take into account because of the newness of it.
Yeah, and the biggest thing, the trend is analytics, whatever you want to say. The trend is everyone believes you should be going for it on 4th down. The announcers do, the fans do, the Monday second guessers. They want you to go for it on 4th down with the assumption you're always going to make it. Then when you don't make it, they want to know why you went for it on 4th down. Mm-hmm. That, if you'd Sean Payton, if you'd kicked the field goal instead of going for it on 4th and 1, you probably would have won or could have won. The Rams decision. It's just, as Stephanie said, every one of those situations is different, and analytics doesn't cover them all. You're at there, and you gotta decide based on the game, the score, the weather, everything involved. And it's a team game. We're offensive guys, but when you go for it on the 7, like you said, your defense has a chance to stop them and get the ball back. And the beauty of it is what, like you said, Clint Kubiak, who we were with in Minnesota, just did a great job. He ran the bootlegs. He ran the crossing routes. They ran the ball. He just did a great job of using field position and using time, and giving the Rams very little time, to do anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So what do you think about this Super Bowl?
You never know what's going to happen. I mean, New England's playing so well on defense. Obviously, Drake May was an MVP candidate. Hasn't played as well in the playoffs, and again, they played the best two defense, in my opinion, in the league the last 2 weeks with Houston and Denver. And so that has something to do with it, obviously. But, I think New England, they're going to have to play a little bit better on offense and at the quarterback position, or because I think Seattle, they really got it going on both sides of the ball. Obviously, the defense. We talked about Sam Darnold and Clint and the things they're able to do with Jackson, Smith, and Jigba, and then as well as the running game too. Because they were explosive. They create a lot of explosive plays. Both with the run and the pass, but specifically though with the play action pass, Seattle does, and they're going to be tough to stop. So I think Seattle, as you look at it, but again, it's the Super Bowl, and it's the two of the best teams, and crazy things can happen.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing to me, and we were talking about Clint Kubiak, but we were in Minnesota. The offensive staff was represented as in this game. Obviously, Clint Kubiak, Andrew Geno, Andrew Geno is a guy that Scott brought in. And we have a bunch of guys who were in that room. Drew Petzing, that just went to Detroit as the offensive coordinator. Kevin Stefanski was one of the coaches. Hank Fraley was the offensive line coach. We had Scott, obviously. We had quite a group of really excellent coaches there on the offensive side of the ball. And, it's showing up throughout. And Scott coached Teddy Bridgewater there, and amazing. Teddy obviously had the crazy injury, tragic injury to his leg. But before that, I mean, he was on his way to being a Pro Bowl quarterback every year, and we won 11 games with his in his second season starting, and Scott spent a lot of hours with him, and when he got hurt, he spent a lot of hours with to get the next guy ready.
Yeah. I mean, you guys, we had Adam Thielen on last week, and he talked about his first kind of starting game when Diggs was hurt, and you saying to him in warm-ups, "Hey, are you ready? You ready?" And him being like, "Scott, come on."
It's a little. I have a different memory of that. I was just saying, "Hey, man, this is a great opportunity for you." But like, really excited for everyone to see what you can do. Because we saw it in practice, and you'd seen it. I mean, we would always joke like his rep to catch ratio when he was a backup was like unbelievable. Every time he went in, the guy, he would just get the ball, and like me and Kevin Stefanski, we nicknamed him Teach Tape because every route was run exactly how you drew it up, and that was such a big thing because that was the year that Teddy got hurt and we signed Sam Bradford. So Sam didn't really have a great relationship, or he didn't have the reps with the receivers, but he always knew where Adam was going to be, and Sam was such an accurate passer that those guys had an immediate connection. And that was 2016, and Thielen fell short. He got a concussion against the Colts. So he just fell short of 1,000 yards receiving. But then the next year, was when he blew up and had close to 1,500 or whatever. And then he kind of became for that run where he was the top of the league guy for a while there. But yeah, I mean, Adam, that was huge. I mean, Diggs had been, the focal point of the offense and the passing game, and he was out. So, we knew that the ball was going to go to Adam, and he had a huge game for us, came through for us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of Diggs, as I call him, Diggs, he give us a little background on Diggs the first time you saw him, and how we ended up getting him.
Yeah, so Stefan, and I don't know if he'll appreciate me telling this story, but it's okay. When I went to his high school, it was Good Counsel High School in Olney, Maryland, and it's in a really, really good league, the WCAC. It's like the Washington Catholic, so whatever. It's with like DeMatha. I was a receiver. Yeah, I was a receiver coach at the University of Pittsburgh, and DeMatha, Gonzaga, St. John. I mean, they got powerhouse programs, and they were the best at that time. And I went in there, and there was a kid that was committed to go to Georgia Tech. He was a senior. Lou Young was his name. And when I went into, and then they had a bunch of, they're a powerhouse program. And so I go in there, and the security guard is kind of in charge of the recruiting. So he showed me the highlight tape. It was my first time going in, and this, like, every third play is this kid, guy number 7 is making a play on the tape. So I just assumed it was the Lou Young kid that was going to Georgia Tech. And then, like, 15 plays in, number 1 makes play, and he goes, "Oh, that's Lou right there. He's going to Georgia Tech." And I was like, "Well, who's number 7 then?" He goes, "Oh, that's Diggs." He's like, "That's Diggs." And I'm like, "Well," and he had already introduced me to like 10 kids that were potential recruits or whatever. And I go, "I've met every single kid in this building. Why have I not met him yet?" He goes, "Well, Coach Malloy," that was the head coach's name. He goes, "Coach Malloy says he ain't allowed to talk to colleges until he gets his grades up." Because he was struggling academically. And he had just finished, that was his sophomore season. And I said, "I'm not leaving here until I meet that guy." Yeah. And he looked like he looks now, but he was a sophomore in high school. You know what I mean? And he played running back, he played receiver, he played DB. They'd blitz him. He basically played linebacker, like safety. They'd blitz him, and because he would just go get the quarterback, get the ball. I mean, he's an unbelievable player, as you would imagine. And I offered him a scholarship on the site. Like, hey, when you're, obviously he was a sophomore, but verbally offered him. And I got a call later, and it was the head coach, and he was like, "Why'd you do that? I'm trying to keep him humble. Like, he doesn't. And then he went on the camp circuit like that, that you go visit colleges or whatever. And, before in the summer, before his junior season. And then by the time his junior season started, he had 80 scholarship offers. And he was supposed to go to Ohio State, like the Urban Meyer was at Ohio State. And that was his guy. Like he wanted Diggs, and he was going to make him like Percy Harvin. If people remember Percy Harvin when he was at Florida, like that was that was the idea he had for him. And then he said no, and he stayed at home and went to Maryland. And Mike Locksley was the coach, and Mike Locksley's he was the offensive coordinator then. Now he's the head coach, but he does an outstanding job of recruiting the DMV. He keeps those guys at home. And he. And so he played at Maryland, and he was there. His freshman year was his best year. And then he got hurt. He had like a lacerated kidney, and he broke his leg or something. They weren't like soft tissue injuries. They were like major injuries. And so he missed time his sophomore, junior year. He had a couple of issues his junior year, everything like on the field, nothing off the field, never had an off the field issue. But people were, he's a very competitive person, and he's an emotional player, and that can rub people the wrong way, especially people that aren't wired like him, which is all he cares about is winning. And with him, he believes the best way to win, especially when he was younger, is to get him the ball. So we know, and he's not wrong, either. So anyway, so there were some people knocked on him, and we had drafted Teddy the year before, and I was just telling anyone to listen, like, we got to draft this kid. I'm telling you, this is the type of guy we want. I've known him since he's 14 years old. We got to get him on our team. And he was on the board, then he's off the board, and then he was back on the board, and then he dropped to the 5th round. And I remember they called me in the draft room. I'm like, we're not. I was the quarterback coach. I'm like, we're not going to draft the quarterback. So I go in there, and Mike Zimmer, the head coach, and if anyone that knows him knows a gruff guy, was, hey, if we draft this guy, you're going to make sure he doesn't screw this thing up. And I'm like, Coach, just get him on our team. He'll be all right. And it's funny to me because I was watching that game last night, and I actually posted a picture on Twitter of me and Diggs. I got a picture of them after we played the Patriots here at MetLife. And I got a picture with him just because, for how long we've known each other. And I posted on Twitter saying how happy I am because he's the ultimate competitor and going to the Super Bowl. But I thought to myself when I was watching that game, he was inactive his first 3 games. And the first game that he was active was at that stadium with the Broncos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he gets to be back. And we had a chance to beat him and that was the year the Broncos won the Super Bowl. And then he gets to be back there. I'm sure he thought of it. And I didn't think of it until after the game when they were celebrating, but he got to be back in that stadium, and then now he's going to the Super Bowl for the first time. So
that's pretty
full
cool.
circle moment, and pretty cool for him.
Yeah. So then after he was drafted and he got to the Vikings, did you tell him, you better not mess this thing up?
No, I went back to my office and I waited a little bit after he got picked, and I called him and I told him, hey, listen, now I put my ass on the line for you here, and so he's like, thank you so much. And every time I see him, and multiple times we've played against each other. Obviously he was on our team in Minnesota, and then I left, and then he ended up leaving as well. But every time I see him, he always says, "Thank you for always believing in me." And he's very appreciative of that, which is cool.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't, he gets a bad rap, and some of it he brings on himself. But he's a great guy and a super competitive player.
The interesting thing is, and Adam and Stefan were close. I mean, they were together all the time, but as the way it ended up happening, Adam became the guy they liked to throw to, and I don't know what it was with the quarterback and why they liked it. And Stefan's numbers went down, his production went down, and I don't remember, was he traded to Buffalo? Was he signed? They traded
it. It was one of those trades that worked out for both teams. They traded him to Buffalo for a first-round pick, and then they used that first-round pick to draft Justin Jefferson. So
so it did work out. But Brian Daboll called me when they got him. he says, tell me about this. What do you want to do? What's he do best? I said, Brian, they quit throwing to him there. He wanted to know why the production was down. They just didn't throw to him as much. Thielen became the guy. I'm not sure the quarterback was as comfortable with Stephon, his style, whatever. I said, just put the tape on because he runs outside routes. He made one of the spectacular catches on a deep out and up against Detroit, laid out for it. He ran the crossing routes. If you pressed him up, he ran the fades. He ran the slot fades. And his production was unbelievable. I said, we kept finding ways to run him on crossing routes, just take off across the field, because once he got the ball in his hands, he would make something happen. And it was fun watching him, particularly with Dayball when they started going, because he was Diggs. He was all over the place and high energy and catch the ball and run and make people miss. They did a good job of using him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, he's always one of those guys that's been fun to watch, and it was good to get him when he went to Buffalo and he kind of took off and he was able to help the quarterback, kind of jumpstart his career, because as we people tend to forget. I mean, he kind of not struggled, but there was an adjustment, coming into the NFL, and Diggs being there gave him that reliable. Yeah, Josh Allen, and Diggs getting there gave him that reliable target to kind of get his career going, and then obviously we see what he is, what he is now.
Yeah.
I know they've already talked about it a little bit, but we haven't. One of the great stories in this whole thing, and it's going to be talked about a lot in the next couple of weeks for the Super Bowl, is Sam Darnold. And
that's what I was going to bring up next.
Yeah. just the whole process, and that's why people just sometimes just to step back and say, "Hey, this is a process for these guys to come in and play, particularly the quarterback position." And then they go in. If you're a high draft pick, you're third pick, you go to a team that's not very good. You get beat up. Things don't go the way you want. And Sam's traveled the rough road to get where he is, but he's won 26 games in the last 2 years, whatever. He struggled a little bit at the end of the year last year in the playoffs, and he gets labeled again. Oh, this guy can't handle the pressure. Well, he had a great year this year, all year, and then to play like he did yesterday. I mean, it's just fun to watch, and really happy for him. I got to know him a little bit. I got to know him a little bit when he was coming out from SC. I spent some time at SC in 2017. I wasn't coaching. I saw him work out several times with Jordan Palmer, and he's just such a likable guy, and it means so much to him. It's just nice to see him have that kind of success.
Yeah.
No, it is, and I don't know. I mean, I've met him before, but just from the outside or people that have been around him, speak highly of him, and you always like to see things like that, especially when guys are kind of written off, and for them to bounce back, and now again being able to go play in the Super Bowl and play in the playoffs and play well, it's really great to see.
Yeah, it's one of those stories that you're like, okay, he's continued to have another chance and then make the most of that chance. Why didn't they keep him in Minnesota? I don't remember following it very closely.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. They drafted JJ McCarthy with the 11th pick or whatever, 9th pick or whatever it was the year before, and when you draft a guy at that level, at that pick, you expect him to be a starter, and they offered him I mean, I'm not trying to defend anybody, but they offered him pretty much the same thing that Seattle offered him, but he was going to have to. He knew that like at some point they wanted this other quarterback to start. It might not have been this season, but like eventually, and so in Seattle. When they traded Geno Smith and then they signed him, that was an opportunity for him to go
and be the guy,
be the guy for, he's still young. I mean, he came out, he was 21 or whatever. So he's been in the league for a while, but he's still a very young player. And nowadays, how long these quarterbacks can play with the way they take care of themselves, it's a chance to go, I'm going to go be the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks for the next 10 years, and I think that's what that led to that decision because it wasn't the money. Like Minnesota, they were trying to keep him. It was just he knew what the situation was. And then, like, also Minnesota had Daniel Jones, and obviously he played. Obviously we know Shane well, and he played so well for Shane until he got hurt. And same thing, like they offered Daniel Jones the same amount of money the Colts did, but Daniel Jones was going to have to compete with JJ, and also like he felt better about the situation competing with Anthony Richardson, obviously beat him out. So it wasn't like a money thing or anything like that for any of those guys. It was just the opportunity. And
Right.
and I think it all comes back to, just they drafted the quarterback in the first round. I mean, if you draft a quarterback in the first round, he needs to be your starter,
Right.
So
and it's just like it's what's the best situation for that individual person given the other circumstances, who else is on the roster, who they've drafted, like you said, he had a chance, or he felt Seattle was the chance to go and be a starter and not have that.
Yeah, and that comes back to, we've talked about it several times here. One of the keys, and I know from personal experience, sometimes things happen that you can't control, but you have to truly be able to evaluate your own players. And what happens, people get caught up in having their own player, but seeing someone else on another team who they think is better, but they're not with them every day. You don't really know. It's like Diggs. We were with him every day. You do everything you could to keep him. You're with Sam Darnold every day. Well, what's the upside? Where's he going to go? I've talked about it because it always hurts when I talk about it. When we were at the Chargers, we let Vincent Jackson leave. He went down and led Tampa in receiving for 4 years after that. We let Diggs leave. I'm sorry. Sproles leave. And I think he led the league in plays over 50 yards for the next 6 years, So you just have to do a great job evaluating your own guys and not getting caught up in, well, this guy, if we had this guy or if we had that guy, you don't know those guys. You know your own team.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I think that's the biggest mistake that teams make is not evaluating their own roster, and it goes both ways, either not valuing the guys you have enough or overvaluing some of the players that you have. Because I think that we've seen both sides of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a real good point. And then you get two opinions, the people, the personnel people who draft them and the coaches who are coaching them, and you gotta meet in the middle and be honest and not be defensive. That's the beauty of when I was with Coach Johnson in Dallas. We drafted 3 offensive linemen in the 3rd round. He cut 2 of them, and the other one was Eric Williams, who was a Pro Bowl player. So you just evaluate your own guys, and just because you draft them doesn't mean you got to keep giving them chance. You got to
be able to recognize when something isn't working and make a change.
Yeah, you got
not
you
be
have to admit,
attached or, like you said, defensive of your decision. It's like the best idea wins.
Yeah.
I couldn't help
admit when you made a mistake and move on.
Yeah, I couldn't help but think about watching that game in Denver. And when I was the coach of the Raiders, we went up there and played them. I think it might have been a night game, but we had that same storm, and you guys all remember it.
Yeah.
And Ron Curry got way up in the air. He could hang in the air. He's such a great athlete. He caught the touchdown in the end zone, and he was the first guy I ever saw do the, what do they call it?
The snow angel and the
snow angel.
Yeah, the ball was kind of behind him, and he caught it. It was a one-handed catch. It was unbelievable play.
And somewhere we still have a picture of me with all black Raider gear, and then it's almost all white because it was just snowing so hard. We were just completely covered with it. Mom had it on the refrigerator for a couple of years. I don't know where it is now.
It's crazy. You guys have had, we've coached together on a few different teams and have some great stories of working together. One of my favorite is your Geno Smith workout story.
So
when
this,
you guys had to
yeah.
go.
So this was our first time ever coaching together, and it was the off season. So, and Geno was, coming out of the draft, and he was thought of being he ended up being a second round pick, but he was, people thought he might get picked in the first round, and I think we had the sixth pick, and so we go down to work him out, and it's in Fort Lauderdale, and it's at his high school. And we said, all right, you got to set everything up for us. And so we got there, we couldn't find him, whatever. We're
Because this
watching
was
film,
a private workout, like it
yes,
wasn't.
correct.
And that's like, just for context for anyone who doesn't know, that if you're evaluating, deciding if you're going to draft, pre-draft sort of evaluations, your teams can set up these like individual workouts, and so they just get to go see the player, some throwing drills, like sort of evaluate and get a one-on-one like meeting time too, right, with the player.
And you can only do those either at his school or at where he's from originally. So he's from Fort Lauderdale. I think it was Miramar High School, and we went to the high school, and then so he was supposed to. We told him, hey, you need to get the footballs, have the receivers show up, whatever. So we get done with the film session, and then we go out to throw. And mind you, it's South Florida, so it's like 85 degrees and humid. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I think it was April, probably March, probably early April. So it was right before the draft. So I'm in like jeans and like some Cole Haan shoes and a gray polo. And so the receivers don't show up, and Andy doesn't have a football. So all of a sudden his dad shows up with a football. So his dad pulls up in a Dodge Charger, comes out with a football. And then,
but there's no receivers.
There's no receivers. So it's me, dad, and the head coach, Rob Shazinski. So I think to myself really quickly, I think I know who's going to be catching these balls. So Geno Smith, as everyone I think knows, everyone that follows football, he can absolutely throw the ball. I mean, he spins it. That thing comes out of his hand. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm here, and luckily they didn't make me run routes. So I just had to spot catch balls. But
in your
I
Cole
moved
Haan.
a little. Yeah, I moved a little bit, and I'm just sweating. I mean, my gray shirt is just like drenched.
And the ball's just flying in there.
The ball is flying, just like, and just blasting my hands. And I dropped a couple, and Geno's dad goes, y'all sure that's the receiver coach and that ain't the DB coach? And I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Now
like,
you're getting heckled at the work.
Yeah, I'm like, this guy, I think we can see he can throw it. Like, how many more throws do we need to have here?
And Chud would want to see all the throws.
Chud was very thorough. So we were, I was all over that. I was all over that field. That was an adventure for sure.
And but, your hands were just like, throbbing.
Just like bright red. Yeah. Throbbing, like, no gloves, so that was a funny experience for sure.
The best part of the trip, I mean, we weren't going to get Geno, but the best part of the trip, if you're in Fort Lauderdale ever and you're going to the airport, there's a restaurant called Runway 84. That's just Highway 84.
Yeah,
it looks like an airplane that way they've made it, and it was Wayne Huizinga's favorite place. If he's going to take some coaches to dinner or do something, he'd take us there.
It's a classic place. It's still there. It's outstanding food.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite. The Geno Smith story. I don't know. And you guys have any other?
Well, the game of all games, because it goes along with. I mean, Scott's my son, but he did an unbelievable job coaching Teddy Bridgewater. And Teddy's second year, we won 11 games, win the division. We're at home to go. I thought about it yesterday. We're at home to play Seattle in the playoffs. And what did it get to? -8?
It was -6. It was like at the time, it was like the second coldest game in the history, or the second or third coldest game in the history of the NFL, because they were, they had torn down the the Metrodome, and they were building
Right.
US Bank Stadium where they play it now. So we were playing at the University of Minnesota. So we're playing
outside.
University of Minnesota outside in Minnesota in January, so it was -6 degrees.
It was one of those deals where I was in the press box. I was there for pregame on the field for what was it, 20 minutes, and I got up in the press box, and it was even cold up there, but it did warm up. And I'm looking down at Scott and all the coaches and players. I'm looking down at Scott. I'm on the headset with him, and he's just bundled up. And
there couldn't have, every single article of clothing that they put in the equipment guys put in my locker, what ended up on my body out there. And I had the players call it now the shiesty mask, where it's just, you're just this, but I was like paranoid because I communicated with the quarterback. So I was afraid like he wouldn't I didn't want to get muffled. So I would pull it down, and my beard was even longer then than it is now. So it would steam up, when we were on defense, and then I'd pull it down. And so we would call it offense. And so at the end of every series, it was just straight up icicles. I mean, just a full icicle beard. I mean, pretty much instantly, as soon as I pulled it down. I mean, that was real cold for sure.
Yeah. And it was a similar game. You were talking about Josh McDaniel and understanding what they had to do. Seattle was really a fine football team, and we're the best defense in the league, and we just found a way to keep the game close and not make a big mistake that gave them the ball or whatever. And then with minute and 20, whatever the time left, we drove down the field to the 7-yard line, right? The 6-yard line.
It was a 27-yard field goal, so whatever that 10-yard line kick. It was from the 10, and that we missed. But we went up 9-0. We were up 9-0 in the fourth quarter, and Russell Wilson, the ball, they snapped it over his head, and he went back to get it. And when he got it, like Captain Marlin took an angle, and Russell was able to spin out of that, and he kept the play alive and threw it to Doug Baldwin. I'm pretty sure it's Doug Baldwin. No, it was the guy that just went to the Raiders, Lockett. And he got down, he ran out of bounds like the 3, and they scored a touchdown right after that. So now it's 9-7, and we threw a play action pass the first play, and we threw it to Adrian, checked it down, and he fumbled. And then they got the ball, and the ball bounced up in the air, and it went right through Mike Wallace's hands on our team. You know what I mean? It just we just couldn't recover it.
Yeah.
And they recovered, and then they ended up kicking a field goal. So they were up 10-9, and then the ball went back and forth. I mean, it was almost impossible to move. I mean, it's hard to function with a football in -6 degrees. So there wasn't a lot of offense in that game. And then we ran like an out route with Kyle Rudolph and an angle route with a back, and Cam Chancellor is such a great safety, and they were playing buzz, and he came down and he tried to undercut Kyle, and Teddy threw like a perfect ball out in front of it. So not only did Cam not make the play, he wasn't in a position to make the tackle, and Kyle turned it up the sideline, and that was the big play. And then we ran it 3 times, and that got us down to whatever it was, 24 seconds. And unfortunately, we missed the field goal, or we would have gone to play at Arizona for a chance to go to the the NFC Championship game. But no, that was a classic game. That was one that you definitely remember for the elements, but then also the negative ending. That's when it's hard to get over.
Yeah,
and
missed
like
field
you said,
goals.
the play that Russell made was just a freak play. The ball's on the ground.
Yeah, I mean,
we think if we recover it, the game, But
or
anyway,
just if you just tackle him, it's going to be like 3rd and 25. So. But yeah, it was just one of those deals where they needed a bunch of things to go right for them, and it did, and they ended up winning. And
I just saw one of those deals where they had the 5 coldest games, and I think it was still number 3 on the list. They show it, and
there were, how many missed field goals were there in that? There were like 3 or 4 in the Denver game, right?
New England missed one. Denver missed the one that got tipped right before the half. Did they miss another one as well?
I think they missed. Didn't they?
They got one blocked. Remember
Well, that was the one right before the half,
tipped,
right?
but then I thought they missed 2.
Yeah,
I gotcha. I can't remember.
I thought, but is that always Denver, I forget, is it easier to kick in Denver or harder?
Well, it is. It's
easy-
just the conditions,
Yeah, unless you get the wind. Normally, it's easier to kick longer field goals in Denver because
Of the
the altitude, the ball travels.
Yeah, and a lot of people who gave the 3.5 and were counting on New England to make that. That would have
make
been
that one. That would
all those New England fans would have
Yeah.
really enjoyed it a great deal if he'd made that second one, because I don't think they would have scored. It would have been a 6-point win. It would have been a lot of happy guys in Massachusetts.
Yeah. So we were Scott and I have childhood memories of going to Super Bowls, and we were talking about, obviously they have a bye. Both the teams have a bye this week, so they have some time to prepare. And we were remembering that the first Super Bowl we went to, we were kids, there was a bye week. The Cowboys you guys had a bye, and it was in LA. It was played at the Rose Bowl, and so we got to come out for the whole week because we had family here. And remember, Scott, and we got to miss the week of school, and it was all fun. And then the second year, we're like, oh yeah, we get to get a week off school. And they're like, no, there's not a bye. They don't have a bye. So Dad's going to go. And then we didn't come until Thursday. We went to Atlanta.
Right.
Which of course, we were
not as happy about that.
Kids. So the only thing we cared about was how many days we were going to miss school. And we were like, oh yeah, Super Bowl, whatever. No, we were excited to go to the Super Bowl. But
it was really good for us in that we had played in the Super Bowl the year before, because we played San Francisco in the afternoon game and beat them. Well, the coaches, we took a 6:00 in the morning flight to Atlanta, and we went on Monday to go start working on the game plan and doing all that. Now, we'd played Buffalo a lot. And then the team, either they came Monday night or they came Tuesday morning, I'm not sure. But that week was so sped up. And if we hadn't had the experience of being in the Super Bowl, it would have been really, really difficult because
to rush through
the teams that have the week off, and Coach Johnson talked to a lot of people who'd been in it. The recommendation they gave him, and we used it, says use the week off. I don't know if the rules would let you now. Just do a normal week like you're preparing for the game. And put your game plan in, do a Wednesday practice, Thursday practice, Friday. Do the same things you do, the situations, everything. And then when you get to LA, you're going to practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You can add some things to keep guys, their minds going, but it's more of a tune-up, and you have the game plan in, you've worked this stuff, you got tape of it, and then it helps you get ready for the game, and that really worked. And obviously in Atlanta, it was just Tuesday, Wednesday.
It was just like a game week.
It was fast, yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
Because there's what everyone said, and I know he talked to the 49er people who'd won a lot of Super Bowls. The week before the game is so hectic. There's so many demands. There's so much, media day, photos. Guys are doing interviews Wednesday after practice. They're doing doing all the different stuff. So having that week off, kind of to regroup, and then you can put your game plan in the week off, and then fine tune it the week of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, and then just get guys healthy too. I mean, the season's so long, and that those championship games. I mean, they're so brutal, and you want the teams to be at their best when they play in the Super Bowl too.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the league, because that was the year the league they went to two. Everyone had two buys or something like that. Is that why there wasn't the buy?
I think it was when they had expanded and there were two buys during the
because
season,
there was that one weird time in the league where, well, I guess that wouldn't have been it, but there was an odd number of teams or something like that. But that was later. That was a few years later after them.
Yeah, I know. It makes sense to, like you said, Scott, you want everyone to be at their best. So it makes sense to have that week in between and gear up for the game.
for sure. And they want to hype it up too. So they want more time to, I mean, think about how many Super Bowl preview shows we're going to watch between now and,
Right.
or, you know, and between now.
I mean, the
and
grocery
everyone.
stores have to sell chips and with Super Bowl signs for at least another week,
Yeah.
you know?
No doubt.
Everything has to, all those displays have to be out. The
They gotta
Tostitos and the queso dip has to be sitting out there front.
Yeah.
Well, the Super Bowl being in San Francisco, we went to the Super Bowl last time it was in San Francisco. Carolina played Denver. It was
That's right.
Peyton Manning, and
That's right. You did go.
We had family with the Panthers, and Nancy and I went with friends, and we had a nice week in San Francisco. The fans and the teams, the people that come along, not the players, they'll have a great time in San Francisco. It was good. I'm not a fan of the stadium, and it's in a different county, but
yeah,
we've had some tough games in that stadium. Probably.
Oh my gosh, we have had some bad games there.
And then for another episode, we can talk about the conspiracy theory of the soft tissue injuries at the 49ers.
Yeah, what is that? But hey, did you see that neither one of the teams is practicing? One team's practicing at I think one team's practicing at Stanford and the other one's practicing at San Jose State. No one's practicing at the 49ers facility, which is very odd. Normally,
but there has been all this built. Have you seen the articles yet?
Well, first of all, before the stadium was there, that's where their facility was. It still is, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I coached there in 2006, and with one of the other coaches at lunchtime, that was in the off season, that was our walk. We'd walk right down this. They have a bike path that goes right by that
power
plant, right by it.
Yeah.
I've survived it. I mean, I think. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll find out. Were you coaching the 49ers and walked by the power plant? No wonder you got a bad ankle.
Yeah,
it's a big old plant, and once they start throwing that stuff out, you know, they said they're going to investigate it. The 49ers have to build a new that's training facility.
Crazy if that
it's insane if that's actually true, which I don't know. I don't know if I believe it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will wrap up this episode before we let you go. I don't know if I know what your answer is going to be to this, but what we always ask everybody, if you didn't work in football, what would you have done?
I don't know. You know, I'd probably be a teacher. You know, I probably would have gotten.
We've heard that from a bunch of guys.
I think we may have told you what Cam Newton
or you may have seen. Did you see that?
I didn't see the end of it.
He said he would have had a daycare center.
Okay. Well, he basically does.
Right.
With all of his kids. So.
I wanted to show the video of Cam in the backyard with Harry and
Rose.
Playing it.
I just remember my neighbors, you know, our house, you could see into everyone's backyard. And I remember my neighbors looking out like Cam wearing a freaking top hat and whatever, out an ascot or whatever, his scarf and him just walking with Harry in the backyard. And our neighbors are like, what is that? Is that? I mean, it's not, there's no, is that, you know,
he's Cam.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of people walking the face of the earth that look like him and especially dressed like that.
Yeah. Barely to his knee, you know, they're out there playing and fooling around. It's so funny.
No, it's classic.
I say last one for me, it's early, you know, we don't know exactly the health of everyone and how they came out of the game, but you got to give us a little thought about who you think has the best opportunity in this game. What are you looking for?
I think Seattle. I just think the way they're playing on both sides of the ball, you know, with Darnold, with Walker, the running back, with Smith and Jigba, you know what I mean? The way they get the ball to the tight ends, and then just obviously what they're doing on defense. And I think that they're just so much more complete. I think just as a conference, I think the NFC is probably a little stronger than the AFC this season. And I think that, you know, that'll show up I think over the course of the game. But I don't, but like I said, like you can't ever count these guys out. I mean, like a Josh McDaniel and Mike Vrabel, I mean, they've done such an outstanding job. And the way that New England defense, we played them earlier in the year and then we played them late in the year. And then you just watch them in the playoffs, like the way that they have improved as the season's gone on. And, they don't have a bunch of like huge name guys, but they're so well coached and disciplined and they don't miss tackles. And, the corner is the big name guy, and he's really playing well. He gave up the touchdown, and then he comes back and has the game stealing interception. So, and then Drake May, again, we talked about how he struggled, but he's obviously capable, and he's had a big year, and he's capable of putting a game together. So, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but if I had to pick a team right now, I'd say the Seahawks are going to end up winning.
The couple comments you made early that is lost in all of this in terms of talking, because everyone wants to talk about the two quarterbacks. They want to talk about, Seattle being complete. They are. But I'm really impressed with New England's defense, and they're a complete defense, and they don't make a lot of mistakes. Early they did and gave up the touchdown, but they don't make a lot of mistakes.
No.
So that says a lot for them. And then the other thing that really probably was the big plays in the game against Denver is Drake May taking off and running. He ran for 3 or 4 first downs. That you have to contend with that. You got to make sure, because
both
he can run.
Both quarterbacks can scramble, and Drake definitely it showed up a little more. And then the other thing that we don't talk about as offensive coaches that much, but it's very important, is both teams have very, very good special teams units, and they both have outstanding returners. You know what I mean? We saw, Shaheed starting the game off against the 49ers with a touchdown, 2 weeks ago. And then, the punt returner for New England, he's been, if not the best, or one of the best returners in the league, really the past few years. So,
their abilities to make big plays on special teams are gonna.
Exactly. To make a big play. I mean, obviously the guy for the Rams tripped and the ball bounced off his helmet, but like it's not but Seattle was down there to recover it, and. They do. I mean, number 41. I'm not even know his name for New England.
That's amazing.
But like he's a freak. I mean, he gets down the field and like kills people. Our special teams coach at the Jets this past year, Chris Banjo. He would talk about him obviously when we played him, but then he'd talk about him either other games. Just talk about the impact that he makes, and so that's gonna play a factor too, because those are 2 elite units that are going to be going against each other.
It'll be a fun game.
Brendan Schooler.
Yeah.
There he is. Give number 41 his props.
Yeah, he's a madman.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on. It's been a long time coming, so we're thanks for coming on.
Great having you on. The one thing I think is terrible if we neglect to mention is that Scott's daughter, Rosie, who's 9, close to 10, just got the lead in Peter Pan. She's going to play Peter Pan April 12th. So we're finding a way to get back there to make sure we get to see it.
No, it'll be it'll be good. She's really excited. She was like, some people, like she had to find out what part she was going to be. She's like, some people don't even get parts. They're just going to be a narrator. I go, well, Rose, let's not panic about this first. Let's wait and see what you are. And then she came back and she was like, I got Peter Pan. And we were like, oh, so she was really proud. So she'll
narrator's
do a great
a part
job.
Too.
I know, but so this is the second play that she's done in this theater company, and the first one was Frozen, and she had to play Hans, the bad guy, Hans. So she was like, at first she was like, I just don't want to be a boy again because it's all girls, and she was like, but then I was like, but if Peter Pan, she's like, okay, she wasn't mad about being Peter Pan because it's the lead. So
historically, Peter Pan has been played by
it has.
I
told her that. Yes, I told her that. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Please remember to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us on Instagram, where we post fun clips and giveaways. This week, it will be a Melissa's Super Bowl basket. So head on over to Instagram to check that out, and we'll see you on the next one.